Uh, let's see. All right, so here we go. We're good. Here we go. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna I'm gonna give a new perspective on what I'm thinking. Let me turn this off real quick. I'm gonna give a new perspective on my opinion of what's really going on with this. Okay, hang on one second. All right, bro. All right. All right, so we're not funny anymore, bro. All right, check this out. All right, check this out. I think I figured it out. All right, let me take you through this. I think I figured it out. Here's what's going on with Bumble. Here's what's going on with Bumble. I figured it out. I know who the winners are. I know what's happening. I know what what's going on with stock. This is just my opinion, by the way. This is just, don't take anything I'm saying as gospel. None of what I'm saying is fact. These are just things that I'm saying that are these are just my opinions for real. Like, you can't take what I'm saying to be gospel. It's just kind of a cool perspective. This is going to be, I don't know. I don't use any scripts or models, or like, I don't use ChatGPT to tell me what to say. So a lot of this is going to be choppy. I'm new to this whole um, I'm new to this whole thing, so I'm just gonna take my time, take as much time as I need, because I don't have a script. You're just getting a free version, or not, just a free flowing version of my opinions and entertainment. So here's kind. It's kind of cool actually. It's super, kind of ultra brilliant what's happening, and I don't even think. I just think it's super cool to see. This is really cool actually, and here's what's going on with Bumble. I figured out this is like an ultra rich data. It's the first. What's going on is it is what I would consider. So you have, like, how you have like a leverage buyout of a company, that, like, let's say a company comes in, a large company, they come in, they buy a company, they take out a bunch of debt, buy a bunch of assets, and then drive the company into bankruptcy, and then keep the assets. It's like a leverage buyout. There's a girl who wrote part of the Dodd-Frank Act. Her name is Mirza Baradaran. Mirza Baradaran. You can look her up. She's responsible for a lot of the draft, a lot of what was written in the Dodd-Frank Act, and she talks. She has a couple books and has done a bunch of discussions on and speeches on, like, leverage buyouts. Anyways, this is the first of its kind. What's happening with Bumble, in my opinion, is the first of its kind uh, leverage buyout of uh, data based, maybe not data based company, but this is a company. What they're doing with Bumble is kind of brilliant, because Bumble's like a dating app, right? But Bumble is so much more valuable than, what is it worth, a $500 million right now? Like, it's worth 470 million bucks, right? And what's happening is somebody's coming in. I'll explain all this to you. This is super cool, super cool. And There's this company called. I'll tell you right now. There's a company called. Let's see, dude, it's freaking brilliant. Okay, so we're gonna go through this. This is gonna take a little time, but this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. Right, so 475 million bucks, right? That's what it's worth, and it's basically this. What's happening with Bumble basically aligns with what you would see with the classic traditional LBO, and they the what they've done is Story 3 Capital and Guggenheim. Um, they refinanced Bumble's existing debt. Okay, and was all this is public record. But what they did is they secured Uh, they secured a loan, $475 million for the value of the company, pretty much. And this is the first of its kind LBO for a company like Bumble. And just to cut to the chase, this whole thing with Bumble, this is not about a dating app. This is not about a dating app. This is actually super brilliant. What this is about is this is about ultra rich data. This is brilliant. And you gotta give this guy his flowers. The Story 3 guy, Story 3 Capital, freaking brilliant. And dude, he sees something that nobody else saw, way ahead of everybody else. And dude, so this guy, Story 3 Capital, took out a huge loan. And basically what they're doing is, or this is just my opinion, I don't know this for a fact, but the depressed valuation versus high cash flow. Okay, so if you look at Bumble stock since, I don't know, go back a couple of years, dude, it has fallen precipitously, consistently and precipitously from its all-time highs. But the company still remains in a free cash flow. Dude, they have some really good free cash flow, and what they have is a bunch of, I don't want to bash on anybody, but what they have is a bunch of suckers that are paying a lot of money. And I mean, you can say they're getting something in return, but they're not. They're not getting anything in return. But they're suckers, so whatever. Who cares? And I mean, I shouldn't say that. It's kind of cold. But dude, what Bumble has is a massively terrible valuation, depressed valuation. But they're printing cash. Their free cash flow is amazing. Hats off to this guy. I think he's based out of LA. This guy's brilliant. I don't know. These are just my opinion. So Bumble stock has fallen. The company remains free cash flow positive. This is LBO wet dream, by the way. But hats off to this guy. Give this guy his flowers because he's the one who saw it ahead of everybody else. And what I'm thinking, what I'm predicting, just my opinion, what I think he's going to do is he's going to take this ultra rich data, super ultra rich data, because not only you have two losers. You have the guys, the suckers who are just paying money to Bumble, hoping for something. Like, come on, dude, figure it out. But whatever, who cares? That's an asset, okay? That's what the free cash flow is. That's what the printing money is. That's the money printer for Bumble, okay? These guys can keep paying money. And then over here on this side, you have the other losers, which debatably are even worse than the guys who are paying money. The big losers, long-term losers, are the women. And let's just talk about this from a business perspective. It's not like I'm not going to bash on the women for, technically from a relationship standpoint, they are kind of losers because they don't get, statistically, they're all dating the top men and none of them are able to acquire long-term commitment. So both parties, the men and the women, they keep coming back to the app, right? This is brilliant. Dude, what a brilliant idea. I might be the first person that sees this. I don't know, maybe the first person that sees that talking about this. So you have the money printer, the guys, the suckers that keep coming back to the app, right? They're losers. Not like I'm not bashing them, but they're the losers in the situation. But even though they're the losers as the consumer, the winner is Story 3. The winner is the person who's going to LBO the company that's going to LBO Bumble. Brilliant. Now on the other side, the losers with the women is they're all dating the top tier guys, but none of them are getting commitment. They all failed to. This isn't like some, bash on women. Whatever. There's plenty of other channels for that, but none of them are getting. They can't get long-term relationships. Okay, it is what it is. It's kind of funny, but they're losers in a sense where they keep consistently uploading ultra rich data. Okay, so we're talking about ultra rich data. Who knows what this thing's worth? This guy's brilliant. This guy's freaking awesome. The story 3 guy's so smart. What a smart guy. Brilliant. Anyways, so what the women are doing is even worse than what the men are doing, because they're not paying to be on the app, right? But what they are doing is they're consistently uploading their face, their eyeballs, their nose, their facial structure over a period of time. And what they're doing is they can find, and it's just my opinion, I don't know this for a fact, it's just my assumptions, it's entertainment, okay? But what they're doing is they're saying, oh, here, this is the evolution of, we can get the evolution of the person and how they look and their face, and because what they're doing is they're overlaying over time. The woman who's been on Bumble since 2023, who still doesn't have a husband, can now be tracked for what does she look like in 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026. You know what I mean? And they get all that little nuance, because it's, I mean, it's 2026 now. This is valuable information, especially if you can overlay it over a period of years. So you can see, not only are you able to see what the woman looks like in 2022, you can see the progression of what she looks like 4 years later. And then you can use models to predict what it's going to look like in the future. And by the way, this is just what a person looks like. This isn't what the person's habits are, where they travel, what they like to eat food, where they like to eat food, pictures of their food, pictures of the destinations that these layers go deep. Brilliant. So you're basically, you can run a model and predict that you can monetize pretty much everything about a person's future. It's not necessarily the men, but the women. And by the way, women drive all the consumer decisions anyways. So men, I think they drive like 75% of, or 75 out of $100 is women-driven consumer decisions. So you don't really, do you need the men for the free cash flow? But you need the women to get a model to predict. You get all this data, and then you build a model, spend a couple $1 billion, build a model, and then get this predictive, ultra rich data to predict what this person, what these people, what they will and won't consume in the future. And this could be like the privatized, you know how Facebook is brilliant because they have all this information, and then they can use the data as gold pretty much, and then they can sell it to advertisers and say, hey, like you can niche down on Facebook and say, hey, I want to niche down, and then give Facebook your money, and you have a targeted audience, right? This is the new shit. This is the ultra rich data. I'm surprised Meta's not. Oh, Meta's way ahead of the game. Meta's bigger than this. What this could probably be, this LBO thing with this data, I bet you, and it is June 22nd, 2026. I bet right here. I bet you that they do this LBO thing, and they get this ultra rich data, they put it into a package with a predictive model attached to it, like dump a couple billion into it, monetize it. But I'll get into this later, because what they're gonna do is, in my opinion, they're gonna delist it, because there's more information that I saw. There's more information. This is brilliant. Maybe the most brilliant business thing I've ever seen in my life. And this is just my opinion. This is not necessarily 100% true, but super brilliant. Anyways, where was I? So what I think they're gonna do is they're gonna build this. They're gonna get all this ultra rich data on the women, because the men's, you don't really need the man's data. They're just, these are the cash flow. These are the people who are gonna keep giving you money, okay? And then on this side, you can build out a product to, let's say you spend $1 billion or $1.5 billion, and you build out a product, and a predictive product. You take all this data from the women, because the women, they'll freely give everything. Not only will the women, they don't think like men. So what the women will do, they don't get a husband, so they keep staying on the app. They come back to it. And then what they'll do is they don't set any of their privacy settings, they're not clicking off any of these things. They're not going into settings saying, you know, the opting out of advertisers. They don't care about any of that. They're just upload to the DB mainframe. They're just uploading everything to the DB. It's brilliant. They're saying here. They're saying here, take everything for extended for years. Here, take everything, and it is what it is. It's kind of, I hate to laugh, but the the women, the men, a very small number of men are going to lose short to medium term because this is the cash cow here. But once you build out that product of the 75% of consumer decisions that the woman, once you build out that, you spend $1.5 billion, right? You build out that product. And you say, here's a predictor. This is what these people are going to spend money on. Here's how they're going to spend it. Here's where they're going to spend it. And you can niche down, probably, maybe even potentially, if we're talking about ultra rich data. And I just went, these are only 2 layers. This is the facial, you know how they have to do the facial scan? This is the facial, which is not necessarily as big as all the stuff, all the other stuff, that all the nuanced stuff that they just upload, right? The photos, the dinners, all the things that they do and don't want, the questions that are cute, all these things. It's actually a kind of a interesting build out, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bumble starts asking more where the gaps are in, let's say there's, like Cambridge Analytica had 3,000 points of interest or 3,000 measurable points of a human being or something, right? Let's say Bumble. This is like a pseudo hybrid of Cambridge Analytica and LBO, Meta, ultra rich data type situation. And what they could end up doing is, where the gaps are, where the void. Let's say you have like Bumble and there's like 1,000 points of interest on a person, right? They always have blonde hair. Every once in a while they dye it brown. You know, they like to eat food. They seem to gain weight in the winter time. These are the types of men they date. Here's the type of conversation that they have. This is their political leanings. This is their acumen on yada yada yada, right? So if they can build this out and say there's like, oh, we're missing, Bumble says this year and next year before they go to get delisted, and we'll get into that here in a bit. But let's just say that there's Bumble, the corporate team, the Bumble team. Let's say a story says, hey, listen, like, you know, we're missing, like, there's a void. There's like 200 out of 1,000 points of interest or measurable interest or sellable data type interest or whatever. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what the verbiage is called. But let's just say that they can go to them right now before they get delisted and say, hey, ask these questions. And then they'll fill the void in. If only I was a fly on the wall, I would love that, because I'd be like, yeah, cool. Like, you know, brilliant. Anyways, I think that's what's going to happen. This is like the most brilliant LBO I've ever seen in my life. I think, just my opinion. I don't know. It's just my opinion. But here's more. So they build up this product. They get somebody to have some predictive AI model to predict what these women, aka 3/4 of the consumer decisions, find out what they're going to buy 5 years from now. Find out what they're going to buy next year. Delist the company and find out what they're going to buy in 20 years. And then track them throughout time, because they're not going to stop. You know, Bumble's still going to be around. Until that cash cow goes away, Bumble's going to be around. And there's probably just going to be an evolution of Bumble. And, you know, there's going to be gated experiences, and they're going to figure it out. That cash cow is not going to go away. I would squeeze that right as far as I could take that, you know. Anyways, they should. They're a company. Anyways, here's the second thing. Third thing, fourth thing, and fifth thing. There's ultra brilliant. So we have ultra rich data. I think this is we've now crossed into ultra rich data territory. Very cool. Here's the other thing too. All right. So you got story capital. what else do I have here? The depressed valuation with high cash flow. So you got high cash flow, and the depressed valuation is a feature. That is not a bad thing. That is a good thing for it to continue to depress. And these cash flows are super predictable. So strong, super predictable, high cash flow. This thing's a gold mine. So here, there's also a lot of pressure from activists to sell. Here we go. Randian Capital, which is an activist investor. Randian Capital, they explicitly pressured Bumble to sell itself, suggesting it is a prime target for bigger tech players like Meta. And this goes back to what I was saying. Story can take this thing private, build it out, build the whole model out, ultra rich data, and then what did Cursor sell for? 60 billion? So even if you get a tenth of that, but you'll probably get more. But even if you get freaking, dude, I don't know. Who knows how you can value that? It's going to be in the billions. But how do you know how many billions? I don't know. But say you cough up a half a billion, and then you fork over another half a billion, and then you 9x your money, and then ask for equity in something, dude. This is a brilliant. Give this man his flowers, dude. This guy's brilliant. And this is just my opinion. I don't know. So the company's not turning around, okay? In my opinion. Okay, so here we go. Here's the other thing too. The 470. Here we go. The refinancing. The refinancing was secured with senior secured debt. Okay, $475 million facility provided by Story Capital and Guggenheim was specifically used to refinance Bumble's existing debt. This type of senior secured loan serves as the foundational leverage in an eventual buyout. Okay, this gets better too. So that's what it's worth, and then they secured the whole thing. And this is all public information. Let me repeat. For the $475 million facility provided Story 3 and Guggenheim. This was specifically used to refinance Bumble's existing debt. And by the way, the CEO never figured this out. Come on. You had to have Story 3 come in and, show how it's done. But yeah, she had a great idea, and that's cool and everything, but Story 3 had to come in and, sign. Yeah, give this man his flowers. This guy's brilliant. But why didn't the CEO figure? Everybody was applauding her and praising her and stuff. She dropped the ball, dude. Anyways, I'm happy for this guy. So here we got the depressed valuation, high cash flow, the refinancing, $475 million facility for refinancing. Then you have Randian Capital, okay, pressuring to sell to Meta. And then here we go. Yeah. By the way, I think the way that Bumble's doing AI right now is just choppy. They need to figure that out. It's choppy. People know it's AI, and that's not good. And all these women, come on, dude. What's with all the filters, bro? The filters are getting out of control because they're starting. Yeah, it's a real woman and everything, but the filters are so out of control that people like myself would otherwise swipe left because it looks like it's AI. And come on, dude. Like, I don't know. Like the AI is just not. It's not crisp. It's not clean. The AI, the AI overlay with a couple other apps I can think of, and I'll give my opinions later on. But it's just not clean enough. It's not good enough. I've seen it with my own eyeballs. It's just not good. It's choppy. It needs for improvement. Just an anecdotal opinion. But this whole thing is brilliant. This goes deeper. Okay, let's go deeper. Story 3, by the way, I looked into them. These guys are smart, okay, and they focus on some interesting companies. Okay, I think they're super smart. Um, yeah. Who took Qualtrics private? They're also super. Who took Qualtrics private? Who took the Qualtrics company private? Dude, that's the other thing too. Apple's AI service needs to improve. I'm not gonna ask it more than once. Dude, come on, Siri. What the frick, dude? That's another improve. Like, you guys just saw that in time. I'm not even asking. You guys can look it up. Whoever took Qualtrics was private. It might be Story 3. I don't know. I'm not gonna look it up. They're brilliant too. Anyways. Okay, so the deal terms is, here's the deal terms, and this is just what I've looked at. I'm not 100%. The credit facility includes a bunch of strict covenants that give lenders significant oversight. And let's see. This is a feature when setting up a company for potential change in control. Okay, so the way that they structured the facility suggests that this LBO is coming. Did it? Is Bumble already still public? Yeah, let me check. Let me see. All right, so follow me. Give me. Have a little patience. Like, hear me out to the end. There's a lot more to this. Yeah, Bumble's still public, and they're at $423 million market cap. Okay, here we go. So here's the deal. The deal terms. The credit facility, strict covenants. That suggests the LBO. Okay. Interest rates. The loan carries a high interest rates. Term SOFR plus 8%, reflecting the risk and the specialized nature of the capital provided. Okay. Prepayment penalties. This is another one. The deal includes make-whole premiums and penalties for early repayment within the first 3 years, which secures the lender's returns even if the company is sold or taken private sooner than expected. There you go. That's another signal. So if it quacks like a duck. Here we go. So the breakdown of the current valuations in the 400 million. It's like 423 now, but I think they secured a loan for 475 when it was 475. So you have the loan that carries a high interest, SOFR plus 8%. You have the strict covenants on the loan, right? Tightening covenants as time goes forward. So the agreement includes mandatory leverage ratio tests that step down over time from, I don't understand that. Basically, no, I don't understand that. So clearly, I don't understand it. I'm not an expert, so I don't understand any of this. So it's just entertaining. It's just my opinions. If I don't even understand tightening covenants and these examples, you can't take my word for this. I'm not an expert. I literally don't understand this. Prepayment penalties, I understand that though. The deal includes make-whole premiums and penalties for early repayment. Let's see. Okay, here. The $475 million senior loan. It's not just about AI. Okay. Like I said in the title, this is about ultra-rich data, okay? This is data. Let's see. This is a data grab. So story 3 is, this is a former Goldman guy, Peter Commissar. He secured the loan for the high interest rate. Okay, I don't know what that means. It doesn't matter. It's Goldman connected, so I like them. They're cool. Awesome, brilliant. All right, so here we go. This is Bumble's proven. Here's where the ultra rich data comes in, okay? Here's the ultra rich data part. Bumble's proven identity. This is the home run. So this is not just cool consumer stuff. This is a hat trick. This thing is a hat trick. Get this guy his flowers. This is brilliant. So here it is. This is proven identity and a verification network. Proven identity. So these people on Bumble, they have to prove who they are. This is proof of human. This is proof of human. So when AI proliferates and you say, I don't know who this is, I want a watermark, and then boom, AI's taking or figures out how to watermark shit. Well, now you're gonna have to have a third company who says, yeah, watermarks are penetrable. AI, you can't tell the difference between AI and real life, and watermarks are now penetrable. Our company's gonna certify that this human is who they say they are. And boom, what's that worth? What's that worth? This is the hat trick right here. So this is a proven identity, and this is just identity, right? Not even the network though. So you have the identity and the network. Okay, this is the hidden gem. This is the hidden gem. So this is basically, this might be the only digital ecosystem though, in my opinion. The deep. This is like ultra. Here's what's so ultra rich data, because you have ultra rich verification. Who else has this? Not, this is more than banks would require. This is more than, I don't know. Nobody else requires this level of verification, because if you listen to Bumble's quarterly earnings and stuff, all these people ever talk about is safety, 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 and the average investor would say, dude, why would safety matter if these people aren't even getting together? But now it makes sense, because safety, 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 safety. It's about building out that ultra rich data. It makes sense to me now. It's about building out the ultra rich data. This is deep verification, okay? Deep verification. You got videos, you got ID cards, driver's license, the face scan, dude. Brilliant, brilliant. So this LBO is this. You know what you could do with this company? You could rebrand it 5 years from now. You could take it private, build it out completely, and then take all that data and then rebrand it as like a third layer for the internet, a third verification layer for the internet, let's say. Like a trust layer. Not for the whole internet, but, you know, dating, banking, you know, even making reservations at a freaking restaurant. How about that? It's not, the applications for this type of ultra rich data could be vast. It's not just like dating in like high risk scenarios, like, you know, what about sports tickets? What about $1,000 Taylor Swift event ticket? You're gonna want some. You're gonna want to know that person who bought it, like. And I don't know if, I don't know about that. I mean, maybe I'm getting too. I don't know. That's probably too much. People wouldn't go along with that, to be honest with you. People wouldn't go. What this would be for. In my opinion, I think it would be for like high end stuff like banking. If you ask me, now that I'm saying this out of my own mouth, if you ask me to verify myself for a reservation, I'd say fuck off. Find someone else. I'm not coming to your restaurant. I already do that. Do you know how much these companies lose when they say we don't accept cash? It's so stupid. They're like saying, hey, you know, that's like the guy who's asking for charity donations, and he's like, oh, you know, we don't take cash. All we do is take $22 for a full backpack is $22, and anything under that we don't take. You're like, all right, man, fuck off. You want to you mean you want to make it? If I'm trying to give you money, you're gonna hinder that? Okay, fuck off, man. Like Chris Green over here. You don't take cash? All right. I'll go to Sweet Green then. Chris Green, oh, you don't take cash? Oh, for sure. Okay. All right, cool. I'm not even gonna argue. I'll go to Sweet Green, baby. Fuck that. You don't want my cash? My cash isn't good? All right. But I'll tell you what, though. If you have $1,000,000 in Schwab, let's say you got $1,000,000 in Schwab, and with the proliferation of AI and all this other bullshit, don't you want to trust? Don't you want a trust layer? Or if you're meeting up with some chick or something, or if a girl is meeting up with a guy, you're gonna want some type of trust layer involved. Not for regular, maybe with commerce, with high value things. I don't know. Commerce, I would think more like security and like high profile shit. Because lifestyle, nobody's gonna keep uploading their shit into like just to have a lifestyle experience. The cruise terminals are already bad enough. I fuck that. Like you don't need my iris to get through a cruise fucking terminal. Like enough with that shit. I get it. I guess it's a port of entry, so that's cool and everything. But yo, like if they start doing that shit to get into to stores and stuff, then nah. But like that's stupid. Anyways, I don't want to go too far on a tangent. Anyways, this is just ultra rich data that's going to be super valuable. I think a lot of it's going to be based for consumer decisions, but this is going to be a proven identity thing. They're going to be able to. This is how you weed out fucking. This is how you determine. This is exactly how you fucking separate the human from the fucking non-human. Let me repeat that. This company, if they do this LBO, bring it private, build out this model, use a model to build this out, and then yeah, consumer decision, but the build out to figure out what the consumer decisions is going to be valuable and everything. But dude, there is already freaking 65% of internet traffic is fake. Look at my name; it says not a chatbot. Okay, everything's on the internet. It's like it's LLMs talking to LLMs. They're all talking. LLMs are talking to LLMs. Like everybody's tired of this shit. But this company can figure out how to separate the human from the non-human, and then you can start. You can do with it. I don't know. They don't have to do it, but figuring that shit out is going to be very valuable. But here's the thing. There's more. Let's see. So this is a high margin cash cow. Um, Bumble has a Bumble's adjusted EBITDA margins are in the 30s, and that's considered struggling. Whew. That'll go up to 50. That'll go up to 50. The LBO, that'll go up to 50. I wish I wasn't poor. I would go to this guy and say, hey, please, can I please just give you 10 grand? Please, like, and I want to invest like two. Please, can I join to invest? Like, this guy's smart, man. I wish I wasn't freaking poor, dude. Shit. All right, so here's the other part. This guy's so smart. There's this guy. Okay, so they have a tax receivable agreement. Okay, here we go. So smart, man. Bumble has a tax receivable. This is massive. They have a TRA, tax receivable agreement, TRA liability on their balance sheet. It's estimated around $419 million in this year. It was estimated at $419 million. Okay, the TRA is $419 million. Okay, so basically, this LBO is going to allow them to renegotiate or settle the liabilities at such a steep discount, dude. This creates a massive bump in equity value. This is so brilliant. All right, so and here's the other thing: if you take it private, all that Bumble, dude, Bumble has proven to be a company that cannot innovate. They cannot fix the problem. This problem with Bumble, the reason why they've been plummeting for so long, dude, Bumble's had years to solve the problem. Years, okay? And they haven't done anything. They're just spending up all of the employees. Dude, these people, none of them can innovate. None of them can come up with new ideas. None of them, they've had years. They've had their chance to figure this out. So if they take Bumble private, you can get rid of all that overhead, aka you can fire these people that can't do their job. Like they're more worried about the feel goods and keeping women safe, but there is no they put the horse before the carriage, because how can you keep a woman safe if the person never even goes on a date? They don't need to be safe from their own living room. Like, come on, man. These people can't innovate. They should be fired, in my opinion. I mean, they're working for a massive tech company, and nobody can come with any idea. None. Like, bro, dude, come on. No new ideas. They've had years. They've had years to figure it out, and they can't figure it out. Come on, man. They've had years to figure it out. So take it private. Let these guys go, and then your overhead plummets. Okay, so your overhead goes way down, right? This is amazing. So, uh, hang on. I got it. Hold up. Here. All right. So check this out. Check this out. All right. So here's the other thing too. You got the proven identity verification network, yada yada yada. And here's they're not going to they can expand their margins, but I don't think they're going to expand their user base. This is just anecdotal opinion. I don't think their user base is going to expand. They might expand the margins and stuff, but not the user base. This is just anecdotal. I don't think nobody's really kidding. I feel bad for the suckers that keep going back to the app. I mean, you got to be like, you can't even be pretty high up there as a guy. Like, you can't even be, I'm not top 2%, but you can't be a top 10% guy, like, and even get any play. You just can't. It's the data. I'm not saying, well, anecdotally, but also the data proves it too. I mean, I have an easier time going to. I mean, I don't drink alcohol, and I don't really go to the bars or anything. But this is just anecdotal, by the way. I've had the quality of women on Bumble's not that good. I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm bashing. I've had a few good experiences, but I don't know. The thing about it, as a guy, you're better off. I hate to say this. I don't want to sound like an asshole, but you're better off. You can't wipe any of these women. I'm sorry, and I'm not just saying that because it's trendy. You just can't. You can't wipe any of them. It's funny though, but it is cool though. It is a cool thing to see. Like, I'm in my 30s, and yeah, there is some truth to the fact that you have a better experience. It's a much better experience with the women in the 20s. Uh, just anecdotally though. But here's the thing: none of us are gonna keep going back to the app. Like, you're better. You're better off going. You can't marry any of these women. Everybody knows this. All the men know this. By the time you have a couple experiences, you can't marry any of them. And I'm not looking to find. This is just anecdotal. But, like, do you really want to find your girlfriend at the bar? I don't know. The best way to do it is through family and friends, and then, like, work, and and that's pretty much it. But unless you're afraid of rejection, it shouldn't be too hard. But I will say, like, when I was, like, swiping and stuff, like, you can get better experience with, like, I'm in my 30s, but, like, the women that are in like 26, 27, 28, 29, much better experience than women that were 31, 32, 33. Because by the time they hit like 33, 34, they're operating out of like panic and scarcity and stuff. And it's like, nah, they have all these like increased expectations and stuff. And eventually you're like, nah, I'm good. I hate to say it like that. I'm so sorry. It's true. Anyway, back to business. That's just anecdotal. But in just my opinion, I don't think these cash cows are going to be around for more than a couple years. So they got to squeeze that rock, in my opinion. Just anecdotally, because I know the people, like Story 3, they see the data and everything. But anecdotally, and just my opinion, the cash cows are not going to be around for more than a couple years. I promise you. People are going to say, hey, like, I feel bad for the guys that are paying that these guys. If you're paying and stuff, like, yeah, that's cool and everything. But a lot of these guys, they're not getting any matches. And men will respond to the conditions. If a guy on the bottom tier who gets no action over like a 2 or 3 year period of time repeatedly is paying money and getting nothing for it, eventually that cow is going to go to different pasture. That they're gonna dip, or they're gonna improve themselves and come back. But most likely they're just gonna dip. They're not gonna come back. So that's something I would say it has to be done quickly. You got to get the cash cows going away sooner than Story expects. I bet sooner than Story 3, sooner than the LBO, sooner than they expect. I bet. I hope that they can take some anecdotal. I don't think that's something you can model. I think you have to ask people. You got to go old school and ask, say, hey, what is your experience? This is more of like a street level conversation that you have to have, in my opinion. If I was an investor and not in entertainment, if I was investing. Here we go. So here's the other brilliant. You know how we were talking about the cash flow and the EBITDA? Going to go above 50 once it goes private, I bet. Just like Qualtrics. That was a brilliant thing, too. So the value grab. Okay, so they're going to renegotiate liabilities at a steep discount. This is so basically one-time bum. Here we go. So $419 million TRA. All right, so here the valuation. Okay, public markets are valuing Bumble at a price per sales multiple of 0.5x and a forward PE ratio of 6.0. Interesting. So it's like a dying retail chain. That's not valued like a tech platform with ultra rich data. Let me read this again. Public markets value Bumble at a price to sales multiple of 0.5x, okay? And a forward PE ratio of 6.0. How? It's because they don't see this. It's because they don't see this. They don't see the value. That's what makes this guy brilliant. Brilliant investor. This guy is Story 3 guy is brilliant. Brilliant. He was the only one who saw this. Nobody can take that away from him. Brilliant guy. Very, very smart guy. Okay. There's more. So imagine if you had a 10 to 15 PE ratio on this. Like this is going to be one of the most steeply discounted companies of all time, I think. So the enterprise value, the public market views this as at 5.7x EBITDA. So on the LBO side, it's prime for debt loading, which we talked about. Then you have the free cash flow, which is the cash cow I keep talking about. Public market sees it. They don't see it as appropriate. They're not looking at that as an appropriate through the right lens. This is a tech play. This is not these PE ratios and price to sales multiple. These aren't tech numbers, okay? That's not a tech platform number. That's not an ultra rich data tech platform number. Okay. And then the TRA. That's not a debt burden. That is a discount. That is a discount. How do you say? That is a discount to payoff. What an opportunity. Street says it's a debt burden, and they say this is no. It's not. This is good thing. Here we go. I didn't really look into any of the specific covenants of the loan or anything like that. None of that. It's all public information. Brilliant. All right, so here's the deleveraging story, okay? Here's the loan structure mandates aggressive monthly amortization that accelerates over the life of the loan, okay? So, you hear it. Highly restrictive covenants that prioritize immediate debt repayment over reinvestment. The terms suggest that the lenders are not betting on a turnaround through growth, but a systematic extraction of capital from a stable cash-generating asset. So Goldman Sachs, too. Brilliant. Goldman Sachs, good job, man. Good job. Goldman Sachs, story 3, good job. So they're going to deleverage this thing. The schedule here, initial year annual payments equal 12.5% of the principal. Yada, yada, yada. And then tightening leverage ratio covenants. I don't understand this. This is yet another reason why you shouldn't listen to me. I don't understand tightening leverage ratio covenants. I don't understand. I don't get that. That goes over my head, which makes me not an expert. Okay? That's why you shouldn't listen to me. I don't know what that. I have no idea what this means. Okay? There are cash flow sweeps and block liquidity. All right, so there's cash flow sweeps and blocked liquidity. Basically, if there's this agreement includes that there's a mandatory prepayment requirement for excessive cash flow, then that's okay. That's still smart. Whoop. The lenders basically gave themselves a buffer. Okay, like a $25, $50 million buffer. And then you have high cost interest and prepayment barriers. So the lenders, they want in on this. They want to get their cup filled. They say, to you, sir, but we fill my cup, sir. And then everybody has a cup and they say, okay, quite. Fill my cup, sir. Here are the terms. Freaking brilliant, dude. Yeah, dude. Brilliant, Bray. I don't know why this stuff is so interesting, but dude, give this man his flowers. He brilliant. This ultra rich data, more like ultra rich brilliant. So here's the freaking dopest thing ever. Listen to this. So here's so strategic. I think Goldman. Here's where Goldman is. You got to say here's where Goldman is brilliant. Okay. Awesome. I think it's Goldman. I think this is where, this is my opinion. I could be wrong, but my gut says this was the Goldman portion. Here's the strategic intent. Okay, you get the 4% penalty for repayment between yada yada yada, make whole premiums. Here, strategic intent basically says these penalties ensure that if like a white knight acquirer, which I talked about in the beginning, like if you have a white knight acquirer that I talked about in the beginning, like Meta, Match, but it would really be Meta. Match is not going to know what to do with this. Come on. Match is not going to know what to do with this. Match should just make their own version and dump it off to Meta anyways. There's a handful of companies that would know what to do with this. And that a handful of companies that I would respect to have this. And I love these companies. Apple, Meta, Palantir. Those are the companies that I would love to see get their hands in this, because I mean that would make them awesome. I love those companies. Pro America, Apple, Pro America, Palantir, Pro America, Google, Pro America. I forget Meta. Those are the 4 companies. Meta. Pro America. Love these companies. Love them. Anyways. What the heck? So basically, here's the strategic thing. These penalties ensure that if a white knight acquirer like Meta or Match tries to buy Bumble and pay off the debt early, Story 3 will still get their high yield return. Schmort. So shrink its debt to earning regardless of market conditions. I don't understand leverage ratios. I don't get it. But that white knight provision that they insulate themselves and say, hey, if the white knight comes in, then we getting paid. Because they know the white knight's coming in. They know Zucky's gonna say, let me hit that. Let me hit that. And they're gonna say, all right, here you go. I don't know, it's just kind of exciting to talk about this. This is brilliant. And then there's more else. It doesn't even matter about the free cash flow. They can get another couple years off these cash cows, and they can get more than a couple years off of the women just giving away their data for nothing. And let's be honest, if they can find a way, let's be honest, I'm not. If you have the digital identity layer and that's cool, this is all going to come back to consumer. This is all going to come back to consumer. How do they make money? And the way they make money is what are people going to buy? How can you make them, get them to buy something? Or that's what it's going to be about. Maybe Schwab brokerage accounts or like videos that are likely to be copyrighted or something. But other than that, this is going to be used to make money. I don't think this is going to be like gated identity situation for society, but it's going to be, let's be honest, this is going to be one of Meta and Google and Palantir and that's it. Those are the companies right now that have really good, like, ultra rich digital identity data. But this is another one. This is the Red Bull. Okay? So for the longest period of time, you had Coke, Pepsi, Coke, Pepsi, Coke, Pepsi. And Coke is still the number one drink. But Red Bull's number 2. It's not Pepsi. It's not Dr. Pepper. It's Red Bull. This is the Red Bull of digital identity data. This is the Red Bull of data. Okay? If Meta and Google are Coke and Pepsi, really Coke and like Diet Coke, because they're both super good. So if Meta and Google are Coke and Diet Coke, then this is Red Bull. Okay, that's kind of a good analogy. And here's what I came in close for, because the women, let's face it, they're different than men. They're gonna allow permissions. They're gonna allow, and these women. So even when you lose the cash cow, let me put the phone down for this. Even when they lose the cash cow, as Story 3 loses the cash, because this is all going to happen in the next 4 years, right? And we'll see if it's worth, how many billions it's going to be worth. But when you lose the cash cow, eventually the cash cow is going away. They got a couple years to squeeze the money out of that cash cow. The guys that are just forking over money, getting nothing, right? Even after that, you could still get another year or two. I bet. I bet you could still get another year or two from the women, at least on the data side, because they're not going to know that they're talking to a chat bot. They're not going to know that they're talking to an AI chat bot. And it's kind of, I'm not going to laugh. They just allow permissions. Allow it. And they're gonna think that they're talking with these top tier guys, and it's gonna be a chat bot. Oh, it's so sad. Brilliant, but so sad. So sad. Oh man. So this is the Red Bull of data. It's like a verified human, pretty much. And you can if you put a third layer over Schwab, let's say, and you have a verified human, like a premium, you could say, oh well, you know how Schwab's like, oh well, what about your voice? I'm like, dude, if somebody copycats your voice, Schwab's on the hook for that. That's the dumbest. It's not 1993. You don't think a lawyer is gonna say, really, a voice is good enough? Okay, and they got hacked because the voice. Schwab's gonna pay for that one day. Schwab's gonna. This is the dumbest thing ever. Like, you can't. That can't be your uh verification layer. Someone's voice, really, bro? Like, dude, I don't know if they still have that, but they did. They were riding some serious risk. That, like, dude, for real? I don't think so, man. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. And not a lot of people are gonna put up their iris. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Go get someone else's iris. I'll go somewhere else. You know? But this Red Bull, this digital Red Bull, people say, all right, I'm cool with that. And then you bill Schwab. You just bill Schwab and say, hey, if you want to keep going with the voice thing, that's fine. But if you can subscribe to our service and, you know, really, it'll just, I'm just from the cuff, you know? Here's the other thing, too, that people aren't talking about. This is the broader concept. This is why this whole thing is so valuable. It's about consumer-based decisions from the women. The cash cow, free cash flow. Write everything down. You're getting a $9 asset for $4, and you're going to turn it into a $100 asset that you got for $4 just by having the idea. And what the real reality is like, they have that deep Bumble has very deep verification. You got the ID, you got the face scan, you got the scan where they go like this. You have tons of photos. Everything can be cross-referenced. How does this person type? This is deep verification. But what none of this stuff matters if everybody was chill and there was no problems and everything. But we're facing like an authenticity verification, authenticity type of. Imagine school systems, right? Remember the school systems breach that just happened? Cyber attack, or whatever it was. And the schools got. Imagine if you could protect the school systems from. There's so many ways that you could. Maybe I'm getting too far ahead of my skis, but this could be turned into something very, very valuable. Okay. This is not 100% human network, though. Like, the freaking Bumble might brand themselves as if they're 100% human. They're not. They're not. But this could be anti-bot, you know? This could be anti-bot. And we're talking about the reason this is AI agents. Everything's AI agents. AI agent, get yourself from Claude. This is AI agent. You got to optimize, and we need to optimize and go get an AI agent to make yourself a way to go order like a milkshake from like Wendy's and stuff, and then we can like I'll build it out, and then once I build out the agent, and then I'll go make it to like I could just blink a couple times and it knows to go get me a Frosty and have it delivered through DoorDash. And it only took me 13 hours to build that AI agent. Like, dude, I don't want any of that. I feel, what? I was working the other day. I said, hey, what do you like? I asked every one of my coworkers, what do you like, Instagram or TikTok? You know what everybody says? Both. And I didn't I said the same question. What do you like, Instagram or TikTok. And every single person in there said both. Okay? My next question that I asked them, I said, hey, what do you like? Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, what do you like? Do you know what literally every single person said? None. They said, I hate that. They said, I hate that. I don't use none of that. So these AI agents, everybody's talking about AI agents. They're all in an echo chamber. Nobody wants any of this, okay? So this thing could be even more valuable when people don't want that. They don't want this shit. So they might say, hey, listen, I'll pay you to make sure that you don't bother me with this shit. I only want to sell coffee. I'll give you $10 a month to make sure nobody fucks with me. No agents, no AA agents fuck with me. There's so many applications for this type of ultra rich data thing. This is super. The way my ideas are just going. Imagine if you were a pizza shop or a coffee shop, and now you have AI agents, and you're dealing with fucking bullshit. And people are ordering fake food. There's a million. I'm just kind of off the cuff. Like, there's some money's going to be made. There's more to this, by the way. You can do your own research. It's getting so late. I've been on for so long. But this whole women's empowerment, it turned into here's what ended up happening. And this is a $1 billion tax shield too. Dude, there's like 50 things that are brilliant. I can't sign off. The arbitrage situation, the women branding thing kind of shields them from. Imagine doing some PR attack on like Bumble. You did some PR. They're gonna say, "Oh, do you hate women?" And they're shielded from everything. Do you hate women? Are you misogynist? And then some PR firm says, "No, we're not," and be like, "You're misogynist, aren't you?" So yeah, I mean, in online safety, I've listened to their quarterly calls. Dude, it can't be that important. Online safety, like all this stuff can't be that important. If the person, just because someone gets their feelings hurt doesn't mean anything. And here's the other thing too, like if a person never meets up with another person, then and they're just hanging out in the living room, then yeah, this CEO can talk about online safety and everything, but people, the numbers don't lie. People aren't getting together. They're not meeting. They're not getting together in record numbers. The one chat bot is talking to a guy, and the guy thinks he's talking to a girl, and they never meet up, and they stay on the platform, and it means nothing because the people at Bumble, and by the way, they're not even monetizing it. They're just having LLMs talk to dudes, and then the women are never finding a husband. They're just back on. They're rotating through the top guys, and the guys, the bottom percentage of guys, and this is all statistically factual. Like they're just talking to LLMs, but Bumble's C-suite and all of the executives and like the people that work there for years, 4 years, 3, 4, 5 years, they still haven't figured out how to monetize any of this or to figure any of this out or fix any of these problems. Just from a business perspective, even if people don't meet up, you should still be able to make money. And these guys can't yes, they have a cash cow, but that's the only way. Like they haven't done anything else. Look at how much money the company's lost. Yeah, cool. You have a money printer, awesome. But look at the value. Look at the destruction. The value you've lost. How much? How many billions of dollars has just disappeared because of the massive mismanagement of the company? They could have turned this into a gold mine. I mean, and now some guy has to come in and freaking. One guy has to come in and, put his dick on the table and say, oh, yeah, like, not literally, but figuratively, like, you guys screwed this up so bad, let me take it from here. That's what's happening. Good for him. Bumble screwed up. They lost what, $7 billion or something? I don't know. Who knows how much money? They lost so much money, and they ruined a lot of people's futures. Well, they didn't ruin it. Everybody's responsible for their own, but a lot of these women fully cooked themselves because they couldn't figure out the Bumble was not incentivized. If you incentivize the outcome, like we talked about earlier today, Bumble doesn't get paid when that person meets another person and never comes back. So the technology is designed to keep these people coming back, especially the women. So the women, you got the losers. I don't want to call them losers, but you have the dudes who they haven't figured out that they're talking to LLMs and they're never going to meet up with these women, or these women go meet up with a guy. They, and at the end of the night, they talk to this guy for validation, and that guy never figures it out. He just, but she's going to go out to the bar or meet up with some guy or meet up with her ex, and the guy, yeah, are they both going to go on the platform? Sure, but how do you monetize a woman? You're not going to monetize a woman who's coming back at 1 a.m. talking to a guy, and you're not going to monetize either one of these people. But imagine being Bumble and having that type of capture and doing nothing with it and just losing billions. Stupid, pure stupid. And then also, it wasn't like zero damage was caused. Like there was some damage caused. Like singleness skyrocketed, and Bumble played a big part. Like let's be honest. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but dude, at least to cause that much damage to a generation, right? Or to contribute. I don't want to say cause, but to contribute to that much massive amount of damage into a generation, particularly women, because the men can still recover. The women are cooked. I'm sorry. Like a lot of these women, they're like 35, 36, 37. Like, dude, you'll go on Bumble and you'll see a 37-year-old who says that she wants to get married and have kids. Like, yo, dude. Like, how do you. That woman's cooked. She's cooked, dude. It's sad. That is more sad than the guy who's online hoping to get some attention from a girl and she's gonna talk to me at 1 a.m. after she just got done. Like neither one of these people, that the loser guy, let's call it what it is. The guy who gets no ass and is willing to text a woman at 1 a.m. on the app, and never figures out that she's never meeting up with him, is just as much, actually less. He's just as much of a loser in this game of life than the 36 or 37-year-old woman with no boyfriend. The 37-year-old woman who literally has on her profile that she wants to get married and wants to have kids, and also has a bunch of other things that she like. You can't be a smoker. You can't this. You have to be. You got to be about 5'11". Like that woman. Both of these people are equally have lost in the game. For like they're done. They're done. But the difference is, this person can recover. The man can. If the man figures it out, and somebody says, and they slap some sense into him, they say, "Yo, dude, get your life together, man. Figure the shit out, bro. You really this stupid?" He could say, "You know what? I didn't know. I didn't know any better. Nobody taught me. I'm not. But I'm not. I can learn. Men learn. Men learn. Men will. Experiences will repeated experiences will contribute to a man either adapting or a lot of people will adapt if somebody says, "Hey, son," or "Yo, just so you know, bro, like this is how it really is." The men will change. Men will change. Woman's not. The 37-year-old woman's not going to change. The 35, 36, 37-year-old guy is going to change. And let's be honest, the 26-year-old girl, she'll take the 37-year-old guy seriously if he has his shit together. Like, but the 37-year-old woman, who's she going to date? Not the 37-year-old guy, when he can get the 26-year-old girl. And these are the losers of Bumble. Bumble had $7.7 billion, I think, at the peak, and they had all that value capture. And what they did is they contributed to this destruction of the woman and the man. And singleness skyrocketed, okay? Living alone skyrocketed. And what else was it? Marriage rates, and lack of not having any kids. And then you're going to see the men. I think a huge chunk of a huge portion of the men are going to recover and figure it out. They really. I'm not saying that because I'm biased. I think they're going to actually recover and figure it out. Because you can only go through something for 3, 4, 5 years and realize, okay, like Gen Z are not like millennials. When I was in high school, we barely had cell phones. Like you had to learn how to talk to these women, just in order to get any kind of play, any kind of dates or anything, whatever you want to call it. You had to actually learn how to talk to these women and figure it out. By the time I was in my mid-20s, like everybody I knew, even the dumb, not that I don't want to say they're dumb, even the losers, even though they weren't really losers. I don't look at them like losers, but the uncool kids and everything, or the standouts, like not the uncool, but like, dude, it was like there wasn't like sexlessness as a millennial. Like people were still getting together and like, and I'm not just talking about like I'm college and everything. I'm talking about like in your 20s, like before the proliferation of Facebook and Instagram and Bumble and stuff. You kind of had to get together and go to the bar and go out and get like, hey, ask a woman for a number, all this type of stuff. But also the women's ideals were not super spiked, and you could go to the bar and say, yo, hey, what's up? And the girl would say, hey, what's up? You'd be like, I think you can I have your number? And she'd be like, I don't know, maybe, I'm sorry, I can't, like. And it would be a cool exchange. It'd be fine, everything would be chill, and you just go to the next weekend. You say, hey, what's up, like, nice, whatever. And she said, hey, that's cool, like, here's my number. Like, it was just whatever. But the Gen Z didn't have that, because they didn't have that. So the women lose, the men lose, but the men can adapt. The Gen Z men, the millennial men, they're not on Bumble. Like the cash cows, let's be honest. If I would gander who are the cash cows, they're probably not the millennials, but they're probably Gen Z. I don't think millennials. Everybody, all the millennials I have ever grown up, they got asked. Like everybody did. Like even the people who were uncool. Like they gotta be the Gen Z. They don't. I don't know. I don't know. That's something I actually don't know. Anyways, but the women are cooked. You can't undo. How do you make a 37 or 38-year-old womb 30 years old again? You can't. But you can sit down with 34-year-old loser who's just a cashier and is living at home. You can, yeah. Is it really really bad situation? Absolutely. But you can still sit that man down and say, here's how to fix it. Build a plan. This is what to do. Wake up, grow up, figure it out. Fast. Do it fast. You only have a short period of time. And you'd be surprised at what you can accomplish in a couple of years. And the man can do it. And the 40-year-old man, let's say that 34-year-old man needs 6 years to recover of just being a loser and down in the dumps and not recovering from the panorama and just a variety of things. Life happens. People, they become losers for a variety of reasons. But if you're 34 years old, 35, 36 years old, let's say you're 35 years old, you still have a half a decade until you're 40 as a man. And a 30-year-old woman, a 31-year-old woman, she will take you seriously at 40 even. That is a fact. And the 37-year-old woman, nobody's going to take her seriously. I'm sorry. Even if you're kind of a loser. I mean this in the nicest way. Like, if you're not fit and strong, like tall, rich, even if she's a dime piece, like you can't do anything for me. I'm sorry, and everybody inherently knows this deep down. Like, I'm not the biggest, strongest guy who's super rich, super wealthy. I have no fame. I'm poor as fuck. I got nothing. I'm wearing a couple $100 watch. Everything I wear is from Target. I'm poor. But even a 37-year-old dime piece, I'm sorry, I'll take a chubby 28-year-old who's overweight. Like, way more than a 27. What can I get from a 37-year-old dime piece? Nothing. It's over. I'm sorry. But so that's what Bumble did. Bumble contributed. Bumble had all this capture. This is all this is all. We're still talking about business. I'm giving you anecdotal experience. The value capture that you get these people on the apps knowing that they're crashing out, that they're going to cook themselves, right? This woman's cooked, the cash cow's cooked, the data queen is cooked, and the cash cow's equally cooked, but the cash cow can recover. The data queen will never recover. And Bumble knows this. All their executives dropped the ball. They went from 7.7 billion down to what, 420 million? Something like that. I could be wrong on those numbers, just the entertainment. But none of the executives could figure out how to get value from that. No, none of you guys could figure it out. Really, bro? Really? You couldn't figure that out? Imagine having I don't know, like a million eyeballs, like a million, not eyeballs. Imagine having a million watch hours on one single deck, and you can't figure out how to make money on it. Dude, who are these people? What? Holy shit! I don't even millions. They might have millions of. The only other app that has more like eyeballs that are watching it is Reddit. Like you have Google, Meta, Instagram, TikTok. Then you probably got Reddit. And then after that's probably Bumble, if we're being honest. And Bumble couldn't do anything with it, bro. Really, dude? That's just crazy. But this is just my new perspective. This is a new perspective from Bumble. I think I'm probably the first to see it. I'm the first to see that this is happening, in my opinion. This might not be happening. I think it is happening, but I was not the first on earth to see it. The flowers go to this Story 3 guy. The brilliance goes to Goldman Sachs in Story 3. Those are the first people to see it. When all of us over here are like, why Bumble suck? Why does Bumble suck? Why is the company failing? Let me figure this out. You know what made me try and figure this out? Is because I kept thinking to myself, how can they be failing? Kind of like Reddit. I really like Reddit not because of any other reason other than the fact that Reddit, dude, like they got to be what, number 4 on the internet, on all of the internet of most hours from per like watched. Like if everybody's watching, if you can count the minutes of every screen that somebody watches during a year, number one's got to be Instagram or Google and then Instagram. And then Facebook. But after that, I think Reddit's like right there. Or YouTube too. YouTube and Reddit. But that's why I like Reddit. Reddit just needs their Sean Parker moment. Reddit has that much watch hours. But dude, that's what made me. But Reddit's not a failing company. Reddit's just an underappreciated company that cannot figure out their Sean Parker moment. That's Reddit. They will, though. And once they do, they'll rocket higher. Anyways, that's what Reddit is. But like this company, that's what made me start thinking to myself, I'm so tired. Holy shit, it's freaking super late. Anyways, the reason why I kept thinking to myself, like, yo, why? What the frick, dude? Like, why is this company? How can this company be losing this much money? And they never, like, what? I couldn't figure it out. And then I figured, I thought I did some digging, deep diving on Story 3. I'm like, oh, I get it now. Give Goldman Sachs and Story 3 the flowers. Give them round of applause, y'all. I tip my hat to you. But, yo, that's so brilliant. And sadly, I mean, Bumble's just these people. I don't think there's anything nefarious about the stupidity of the people who are running the company, Bumble. But there's there's a lot of stupidity for extended years and years. There was you're talking about ultra rich data. We're talking about ultra rich stupidity, but ultra rich stupidity for long. And then this goes back to like Steve Jobs said. I saw him one of these like Silicon Valley tech interviews. Like he's like, don't. What he said is like, just remember like all these people that you see, like that you look up to and stuff, that at one point in time nobody's ever smarter than you or something. And Bumble, the executive, this proves it. Like anybody, my dog could have figured out how to capture at least something, some kind of But story three figured it out. Coming to say today, he's doing one of these. He's saying, "Come on, come on, come on." Him and Goldman Sachs are saying, "Come under Papa's wing. Come on, come on, come." That's what they're saying. Come on, buddy. Come. But that's my opinion. I know it's super long, but like it says in my name, not a chatbot. There's nothing. I don't care if this is long. Put it that way. I don't care. I don't care how long this is. This could be 5 hours. I don't care. How about that? I don't care because this is not a chatbot. These are free flowing ideas. These are free flowing opinions. They're ideas. They're coming off my brain, not some chatbot. This isn't some fucking scripted nonsense. Okay, these are my opinions. This is entertainment. These are my opinions, but clearly you could see none of this is scripted. This is people want this. I'm giving what I would want. I'm giving what I would want. What I would want is a person to, maybe not person to person, but if I can't get with that person face to face and have a discussion, this is the thing where I don't want them to have any script. I can tell when somebody's doing some LLM bullshit and they're saying all these funny words that don't. Yeah, they make sense, but they don't fucking. They're funny. Like you little. Anytime I hear somebody doing some LLM bullshit, it's like, yo, unfollow. I'm done with that. It's stupid. People are tired of it. Anyways, that's it. I wish you all a farewell. This is just my opinion. I hope you guys get some nice entertainment from this. Obviously, I want to end with this. God bless you all. Thank you for hearing me out. If you like my opinions, please follow my channel. This is a brand new channel. I would love to, freaking get a couple follows with you guys and interact with you. If you guys made it to the end, thank you. But I'll definitely interact with you or whatever. I don't know. I'm brand new to this. So I'm going to keep going. Keep giving my opinions and stuff. But whoever's in, I see one person's in here. Appreciate you, man. Or whatever. And, yo, I hope somebody likes this. But this is just my opinion. And I also want to say this. If you made it to the end, thank you. Thank you for watching my video. Please hit like if you can. And then also, may God bless you all. I'm going to end the stream. Thank you guys for listening to me. God bless you all. May Jesus, I'm a Christian, like I said in the last video. May Jesus bless you all. And I think I'm going to end the stream. I'm out.